Hello everybody and welcome to H-Bomb Reviews. Today's host is going to be Casey, that's me, and we're going to be reviewing TroubleDays for the Switch and PC. TroubleDays is a short and sweet visual novel where all you do is interact with a succubus named Levalia. Your choices throughout the game will dictate what ending you'll get. I'd like to start this review off by actually looking at the gameplay of this. The gameplay for TroubleDays is a standard visual novel with no bells and whistles attached. It's pretty much just going to be, you're going to read and click and read and click, and then you'll get a slideshow of either slightly ecchi art or with a simple patch you can have all the nudity you want. But that pretty much sums it up for the regular gameplay. Let's move our attention towards the characters. Well, I say characters, but really it's going to be just Levalia and I guess you? Besides Levalia though, there's also the backgrounds. They're not very interesting other than, you know, the references to Sega and Capcom. But enough about the boring backgrounds, let's get back to Levalia. Since she really is like the star of the whole show here, what's neat about her is she's also fully voiced. And talking about sound, let's actually talk about the music for a minute. I think the music for TroubleDays is actually fairly decent for a visual novel that you can complete in only a few hours. It's got your standard fare of goofy sounds and sad sounds, so you will always know what you're supposed to be feeling. Other than a few sound bugs here and there, that's really all there is to say about the sound design in this game. Let's move on to the story. Just a heads up, there are two versions of the game. There is the standard ecchi that you get, and then if you drop in a patch, you'll get a wonderful uncensored version. But to start off the story, it's about you, a sad, pathetic loser going to bed. Having never touched or seen a woman in your life, your mother has arranged a marriage for you. Or something along the lines, it really wasn't that important. They use it to set up the climax where she runs away in sadness. But anyways, woman appears. She's trying to take off your pants. But she apparently can't do that. She failed. After she fails to do the R word, you give her a little pep talk, tell her everything's gonna be okay, and then you decide to let her stay with you. Over the next day or so, you find out that she's a barely functional person. She hates men, and at the drop of a dime is prone to having wild fantasies. But hey, with your choices, you get to choose how the story goes. Will you get the girl, or will you fuck it up? I won't get into any details on the story, just in case you want to experience that for yourself. Now with the story bit out of the way, let's talk about our likes and dislikes. Starting with likes, I like Levalia. Her design's very nice and clean, done by the artist Ai Akasa. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. But I like that Levalia is animated. It looks really nice. It makes the visual novel a lot more lively, as does her being fully voiced. And that's actually all I really liked about the game, was just her character in general. Some things I'm more neutral on would be the background art, the story itself. Neither of those really stood out. Same with the music. While I think the music's decent, and I would honestly say it's even good, but I'm putting it in a more neutral area because it's just not something I'd go out of my way to listen to again. And if I'm not going out of my way to listen to it again, it's not good enough to be a positive. Now to talk about, I would say, the dislikes or negatives or whatever you want to call it. First thing is just some sound bugs. They were very grating. I felt autoplay was also an issue. It either went too fast or too slow. There was really no setting where it felt just right. And the last thing I can really only complain about a little bit, just because of how cheap the game was. Because like if this was a more pricier visual novel, I would have a lot more complaints. but for how cheap it is, the fact that there's only a couple choices you make throughout the whole thing, while kind of disappointing, it's understandable. Because I think throughout the whole story you make 3, maybe 4 choices in total, and that kind of directs you to what ending you're going to get. And that's it for my likes and dislikes. There's really not a whole lot to this game. Would I recommend playing it? I don't really think so. But I do recommend you go and support the artist that created Levalia. I'll leave a link to their Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it in the description. And I think that concludes the review. That was H-Bomb's reviews for TroubleDays. If you liked the video, like it. If you disliked it, dislike it. But if you did enjoy the video, I would advise you to subscribe. That way you'll get notified when we do more reviews on interesting games like TroubleDays. Thanks for watching.